Hey, thanks for checking out this video. Do you have the Canon RF 200 to 800 zoom lens that you bought to shoot wildlife and birds in flight and air shows and things like that, and you're trying to figure out how to manage a lens that's this long when it's zoomed out? It can be a little tricky, but let me show you a technique that I've figured out since I've had this lens and how it's working for me, and maybe it just might help you. So let's check it out. Hey, this is Scott. Thanks for checking out this video. I'm standing literally right next to the Kansas River in northeast Kansas. Right back there is Lawrence, Kansas. And that bridge you can see in the background is a place where bald eagles come every winter and hang out and eat and live and, you know, whatever they do. But it's literally 5 minutes from my house. So it's a great place to come down, check out bald eagles, try and get some images, and watch some of the other birds in the area as well. So I've done that the last couple weeks. I've also gone up to Lois Bluffs in far northwestern Missouri a couple of times in the last month to see all the geese and the bald eagles, and they've had some record numbers of bald eagles up there. And it's kind of like shooting fish in a barrel. Is that appropriate to say? I don't know. When there's 1,000 eagles up there and thousands of geese and birds and things like that that are migrating, it's pretty cool to go up there. But one of the reasons I bought this Canon RF 200 to 800 lens is exactly for this, to hopefully capture images of birds in flight. I also bought it for air shows, the Oshkosh Air Show, AirVenture in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I've taken it up there. Last year was the first time I used it there. I can't wait to take it back again this year. I also am a photographer for a college marching band, and I use this for marching band images. This is literally the first and only variable aperture lens I have ever owned. As primarily a sports photographer, I've always required fast glass. So it's a little unusual for me to buy this, but when I got it almost a year ago, it was right at 1,800 bucks, which I thought was a great deal. And I thought if I just didn't like it, I could probably get my money back out of it. But this lens has been one of the most enjoyable lenses to shoot because, I mean, right here, this zoom range is off the charts. 200 to 800 is incredible. And yeah, I know there's people that are gonna say, you gotta have fast glass. I'm not shooting sports with this. I'm shooting birds in flight, which is mostly daytime. I'm shooting air shows, which is almost always daytime. I'm shooting marching bands, and I've shot them at daytime and at nighttime. And this lens, the range of this lens is just off the charts. I love it. It's frankly the longest class I've ever had, and I've had a 400-2.8 for 25 years, but I've never had anything that went to 800. So one of the things that I've figured out in using this lens is what's the best way to carry it, mainly when I'm shooting birds. Now I'm going to use this when I shoot air shows in the summer. I always use a monopod when I'm shooting marching bands, almost always. There have been a few times I've handheld it. But I've kind of come up with a technique that I think it's working for me, and it might work for you, and it might give you something to think about when you're shooting birds in flight. So let's talk about it real quick. All right, I've got the lens and the body. I'm using R3 body. Those are the only mirrorless bodies I have. So that's what I'm comparing this to, and that's what I'll reference here. The weight of this setup, the R3, the Canon 200 to 800, with a lens plate and the Roland Pro cover, is just under 8 pounds. So it's very hand-holdable, and I use it a lot handheld, and I don't really find much issue with it. And I will make another video about how I carry this when I'm hand-holding this. But right now, let's talk about the situation I use with the monopod and the 200 to 800 on this R3 body. So if I'm looking at static birds in flight and I'm zoomed out and I'm focusing, the monopod works great. I can shoot, you know, geese on the water or birds on the water or wildlife. I can shoot birds up in trees. Works great like this. But what do you do when that bald eagle that's sitting on a branch for the last hour finally decides to take off? Well, clearly I'm not gonna undo the monopod and try and hand hold it. Ideally, I would like to hand hold it, But this is a technique that I'm not only using, but my adult son, who goes out and shoots with me a lot, has also figured out that he likes this technique as well. If I'm shooting an eagle up in the tree and I'm watching that eagle waiting for it to take off, and let's face it, I'm almost always at 800. Those things are always pretty far away. You're not very close to them. So I'm always at 800. And I'm watching that bird and all of a sudden it takes off. What I do is I just use the leverage of my arm here and my elbow, and I just pick this thing up and just track it like this. Does that make sense? So I'm sitting here, even if there's times where I've had the monopod, I'm watching a bird in the tree, I'm waiting for him to take off, and all of a sudden I see that bird take off. See how I've got my arm leveraged into my body here? And I'm telling you, try this. Or if you've tried it, leave a comment below. This gives me a lot of stability in tracking birds in flight. And then when I'm done or it's out of reach, I put the monopod down. No harm, no foul. This is the lightest thing you can handle. It's just balanced on a monopod. But again, I'm holding this monopod, casually waiting for a bird to take off. I'll put my hand down just a little bit so it's almost at a 90 degree to the monopod, my arm. And when I lift it up, grab it here, and I've got a ton of stability. It's super simple. So, have you used this technique? If so, how has it worked for you? If you haven't used it, will you give it a try? Do that and come back in the comments and let me know if it works for you. Now, I know what some people are going to say. If I'm got this monopod and everything in the regular position and I'm shooting, I can clearly zoom in and out, okay? But like I said, what I'm finding is that most of the time, if I want to really catch the big ones and get the great shots, I'm not shooting a bird at 200 millimeters or 400 millimeters. It's probably going to be at 800. I'm waiting for those birds to do something, to take off from the water, take off from a tree, and I'm at 800. And I just lift this thing up. I'm not able to zoom, obviously, but I haven't found that to be an issue at all. Now, obviously, just at this location last week, bald eagle was across the river from me, 2 of them, and within seconds of getting to that spot and waiting for them, I literally turned on my camera, adjusted my settings, looked up, and that eagle took off. Now, I was hand holding that, but I basically was 800, and he took off, and I shot him. He came right over my left shoulder. I shot that entire time at 800 until he was out of the frame and going away from me, and I stopped shooting because I don't want to shoot the back of birds typically. No sooner had that happened, the other one took off and flew right over my right shoulder, and I did the same thing. Now, again, I was hand holding, but the same technique would have worked just fine, and it wasn't a problem being at 800 because I want those tight shots of those eagles. I want those close-up photos, and if that eagle's wings fills the frame and goes beyond the frame, I'm okay with that too. So again, if you've tried this technique, let me know in the comments whether you've tried it or not and how you think it works for you or if it might work for you. But I hope that gives you something to think about if you've got the 200 to 800 lens and you're trying to figure out how to manage it when you're shooting primarily birds in flight. But I think this technique would work for any type of wildlife. If you're shooting a wolf and it takes off running, obviously, if you've got the monopod, you can just follow with the monopod. But for birds in flight, this is a great way to get it up in the air. And no offense to those of you who are using tripods, I don't know how you use a tripod for birds in flight. To me, this is a lot easier because I've got so much flexibility to move this thing. If I'm on a monopod or a tripod, I'm stuck right there. I can have a ball head and I've got gimbals and everything, but it seems like it would be much more awkward to move tracking a bird in flight on a tripod. I'm not even gonna try it because I like this technique. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I hope it helped. Give it a big thumbs up if you like it, and we'll see you down the road in the next video. Happy shooting.